जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय गोपी जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना जय यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदा यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदा यमुना तीरा बनचारी यमुना तीरा बनचारी यमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Jaya Radha Madhav, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Nrsimha Dev, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Radha Madhav, Pancha Tattva, Jaya Nrsimha Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramsa Parijakacara Stotra Sata Shri Srimad. This divine grace of Acharnarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, all glories of assembled devotees Hare Krishna, all glories of assembled devotees Hare Krishna, all glories of assembled devotees Hare Krishna, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. निगमकल्पतरोर्घलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're going to discuss the third canto, 7th chapter, 13th verse. The verse is there on the board. Please repeat after me. Yadendriyoparāmo atha. Yadendriyoparāmo atha. draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau. draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau. vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ. vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ. saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. yadendriyoparāmo atha. draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau. vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ. saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. yadendriyoparāmo atha. draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau. vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ. saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. yadendriyoparāmo draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. Mataji. draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. Mataji. yadendriyoparāmo draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ yadendriyoparāmo draṣṭṛ-ātmani pare harau vilīyante tadā kleśāḥ saṁsuptasyeva kṛtsnaśaḥ. Yadā, when indriya senses, uparāmaḥ satiated, atha thus, draṣṭrātmani unto the seer, the Supersoul, pare in the Transcendence, harau unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, vilīyante become merged in, tadā at that time, kleśāḥ miseries, saṁsuptasya one who has enjoyed sound sleep, eva like, kṛtsnaśaḥ completely. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhacharnaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. When the senses are satisfied in the seer-Supersoul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in Him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep. Purport. The quivering of the living entity as described above is due to the senses. Since the entire material existence is meant for sense gratification, the senses are the medium of material activities and they cause the quivering of the steady soul. Therefore, these senses are to be detached from all such material activities. According to the impersonalist, the senses are stopped from work by merging the soul in the Supersoul Brahman. The devotees, however, do not stop the material senses from acting, but they engage their transcendental senses in the service of the Transcendence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In either case, the activities of the senses in the material field are to be stopped by cultivation of knowledge, and if possible, they can be engaged in the service of the Lord. The senses are transcendental in nature, but their activities become polluted when contaminated by matter. We have to treat the senses to cure them of the material disease, not stop them from acting as suggested by the impersonalist. In the Bhagavad-gītā 2.59, it is said that one ceases all material activities only when satisfied by contact with a better engagement. Consciousness is active by nature and cannot be stopped from working. Artificially stopping a mischievous child is not the real remedy. The child must be given some better engagement so that he will automatically stop causing mischief. In the same way, the mischievous activities of the senses can be stopped only by the better engagement in relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the eyes are engaged in seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, the tongue engaged in the tasting prasada or remnants of foodstuff offered to the Lord, and ears are engaged in hearing His glories, the hands engaged in cleaning the temple of the Lord, the legs engage in visiting his temples, or when all the senses are engaged in transcendental variegatedness, then only can the transcendental senses become satiated and eternally free from material engagement. The Lord, as a super soul residing in everyone's heart, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world, far beyond the material creation, is the seer of all our activities. Our activities must be so transcendentally saturated that the Lord will be kind enough to look upon us favorably and engage us in the transcendental service. Then only can the senses be satisfied completely and no longer troubled by material attraction. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupatamaḥ Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Vishwaram Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Mutari Srimate Jayapataka Swamiti Namini Namacharya Padanitaya Kripadayane Gaura Katadavada Nagaragratani Katanjanaspate Resmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismrite Viparitam Syat Shri Chaitanyam Namamitam. Hare Krishna. Thank you for all the authorities to have given me this opportunity. I seek the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis assembled here, and the support of all the others who are here for delivering my service. So we are in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 7th chapter. Here Vidura is asking further questions from Maitreya Muni. So if you see the contents of Bhagavatam, Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayah Manvantirishanukata Nirodha Mukti Rashrayah. In this, the third canto, of course, all the cantos have all the topics, but some of the cantos have significant amount of one particular topic, so it is related to that. So Sarga, the primary creation, is what the third canto is considered to be. So Vidura has left his post with Dhritarashtra. He is doing his pilgrimage. So when he first doing the pilgrimage, he first meets Uddhava. Uddhava does not explain too many things to Krishna. Sorry? Can't hear, no? I told them to increase it, but Hare Krishna, can you increase the voice? Hare Krishna. So, during the summers, all the fans are on and all of us are fanatics. So, we also always want to sit under the fan. Nothing wrong. So, this fan is not working, so some less sound, but even then, yeah, now it's good. Thank you very much. So, Sarga, Vidura is traveling and he meets Uddhava. Uddhava follows the right etiquette and he does not do Maryada Vyatikram. He explains a few things because Vidura is senior and he very nicely, promptly directs Vidura to go to Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya Muni starts explaining, in the previous chapter, Maitreya Muni has already explained about Virat Rupa, how different senses are formed, how different elements are formed, how many elements are there, how they interact with each other, what is the mode of good, in mode of goodness, how do they interact, okay, how different devatas are formed, after they are activated, how the senses are activated, how different varnas are formed, different parts of the Virat Rupa giving out of different varnas. From the legs there is Shudra coming, from the face there is Brahmanas coming. All this is explained. And then in the previous chapter, finally he glorifies the Lord for a few verses, and then he takes rest. Now Vidura starts asking the question, saying that, okay, now you told so many things. Now if the Lord is self-satisfied, how is he creating again and again? What is the desire that the Lord has? Why does he create and again put it into inaction again? And he asks another two questions, which is more important for this particular verse which you're speaking about. He asks about the jiva. If the jiva is pure, why is he suffering? And if the Lord is there inside the heart of the jiva, why is there misfortune for the jiva? Summary of the questions which Vidura asked. So Maitreya starts answering. He first rejects Mayavada, saying that, see, Mayavada is useless. In one verse he finishes that. And then he starts explaining how the jiva which is getting tortured, why is it getting tortured? The main reason for the jiva to get tortured in this material world is the misidentification. Maitreya Muni says that the jiva is not something, but it is identifying itself with that particular thing. What is that? The body and the material world. So if you are misidentifying yourself, till the time that misidentification is there in your head, or it is there as reality for you, that torture is there. That is the reason the jiva is getting tortured. So in this verse, Maitreya Muni is saying, what is the solution? Solution is slowly, by the mercy of the Lord, with detachment, this jiva's, this particular misfortune of misidentification will slowly be purified. Slowly. But it will happen. How will it happen? By the association of the Lord, by the mercy of the Lord, by detachment. This is what Maitreya Muni has told till now. In the previous verse, he told how the jiva actually gets agitated. He gave the example of how the moon's reflection seen on the water body. The moon is not quivering, but the reflection of the moon is quivering. Why? Because we are seeing the moon as a reflection. So when the reflection is attached to something which is material, that quivering is seen as though it is there in the moon itself. The soul does not quiver, but because of the association of the material things, the soul looks like it's quivering, and it will quiver for us. So Maitreya Muni is giving this solution. So when it comes to this, what does the verse say? The verse says, when the senses are satisfied in the seer-Supersoul, the personality of Godhead and merge in him, all the miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep. When we sleep well, all our miseries are vanished. When I used to work in Middle East, there used to be very, very heavy work. They used to work for 12 hours, 14 hours. Friday used to be holiday. I used to ask my colleagues, what do you do on Friday? They say, for the entire week, what the sleep which we have lost, no, we completely sleep on Friday. So, a good sleep, everybody knows, that will actually energize. What is that which is happening here is that association of things which are related to the Lord. When we are, the soul is getting associated with those things which are permanent, then the soul gets satisfied. Like how? By getting merged into the seer-Supersoul, by investing everything into the seer-Supersoul. So the senses have to be, Prabhupada says in this particular purport, the beginning, the quivering of the living entity is described always due to the senses. This is the main thing. The senses, if not under control, the jiva will quiver. The jiva will get associated with those things which we are not. Why? Because the senses are not in control. Mamai vamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manashishthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. In the meter, Krishna could have easily told, atha shasthani indriyani. In the same verse, instead of saying mana shasthani indriyani, he could have told atha shasthani indriyani. Easy. It's the same meter. This meter is not going to change. But why did he specifically say mana shasthani indriyani? Because 5 indriyas and the 6th one makes the mana. But so many verses, Krishna has spoken with just the numbers without telling what it is. But he specifies mana shasthani indriyani prakritistani karshati. So, the importance of mana, the 6th sense in controlling ourselves is very, very important. All of us sadhakas should understand that of all the senses, if something has to be controlled properly, of course, sevon mukehi jihvadau, we start with the tongue and try to control everything. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi sevon mukehi jihvadau swayam meva spurat yadaha. We know this, we have memorized this, we try to follow this. But ultimately, what do we want? By investing our other senses, starting from the tongue, what do we want? We want the mind to go towards Krishna. That is called smarana. Now, Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Vandana, Pada, Sevana, Dasya, we sing that. Smarana comes as one of the angas of bhakti. But if you see, the acharyas have explained that smarana is actually an anga of bhakti in a raganuga method. Of course, smarana is the method and also the result. What is smarana? So, Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines smarana as the following. One second. Okay, I have to do without it maybe. Okay. So, Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Yatha katha chin manasa sambandhinau smriti ruchyate. Somehow or the other, connecting the mind to the Lord is called remembrance. So now remembrance, smaranam, has got varied degrees of smaranam. Smaranam becomes dhyanam later, then becomes samadhi. There are stages of smarana. So there is smarana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, anusmati and dhyana and samadhi. These are 5 stages of remembrance. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Krishna told this twice in Bhagavad-gītā. So what did he say? Apply your mind. Completely remember me always. So remembering Krishna always is an art which we have to inculcate slowly but surely. Without applying the mind, without getting the stage of dhyana, without getting the stage of smarana, applying the mind to Krishna is not possible. So Krishna did not say yam vapi shravan bhavam. He said yam vapi smaran bhavam. So you have to remember me with all your heart. Then only smaran muktva kalevaram. Once you leave the body, the way in which you are remembering me, because at the moment of death, others can chant for us. But we have to remember the Lord. If we hear about the Lord and leave, probably the destination is good, but not the best. But if we are doing smarana, what does King Kulashekara Alva says? Krishnatmadiya pada pankaja panjarantam adyeva me vishata manasa raja hamsaha prana prayana samaye kapavata pittaihi kantavarodana vidhau smaranam kutasthe. Shravanam can be possible. If the Kantavarodhanam is there, Shravanam is still possible. Somebody still is chanting for us because the devotees are very glorious, they are very merciful. They are chanting for us. We are hearing. Probably chanting also is possible. But Smarana takes a lot of effort and practice. Okay, because Krishna says no, that once you are if you are not able to, when you want to leave the body, if you are not able to do smarana, what should you do? You practice. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. How does the word start? No, not that. So anyway, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha, he says, you remember me in the time of your battle also. Starting is that we have to have remembrance of the Lord. When the remembrance of the Lord is not there, the rest of the senses cannot be perfectly dovetailed towards Krishna. He does not say that you remember me now and then. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam kirtayanto mam says, and satatam, always remember me. So, this controlling the mind or using the mind in the service of the Krishna is the most important aspect of our bhakti, of our sadhana bhakti, of our Vaidhi bhakti. Because mind is very, very difficult to control. It is said that mind is like that monkey which is first of all intoxicated with some alcohol and also bitten by a scorpion. First of all, it's a monkey. You know how monkey is, jumps from one place to another. So monkey mind, over that it is intoxicated. If it is intoxicated and the monkey is intoxicated, how much will it jump? While the intoxicated monkey is jumping, it is actually bitten by a scorpion. So another level of intoxication. So this is our task. Our task is to implement this plan which Krishna has given us. What is it? Control your mind. Manashyashtani indriyani prakristani karshati. You know it, you control the mind, you dovetail all the senses, use the senses to come back to me. And smara. Always remember me. Man manabhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Why? Krishna says that Vedeham, he says among all the things, he is the mind. So that is the reason to control the mind is very, very difficult. Controlling the senses, we have Ekadashi to control, we have other things. But the mind, we are always alone with our mind. When we are alone with our mind, that is when we get to know our true nature. Our true nature is when we are alone with our mind. So, this Narottam Das Thakur has sung a song where he is speaking about how this leaving up the material things, purifying the mind will help us. He says, Vishaya chadiye kabe shuddha habe mana, kabe hama hera boshe Shri Vindavana. So he says that when the mind is completely purified, being freed from the material anxiety and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavana and conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful. This is the Bhavartha which Prabhupada has given. Word-wise, this might not be the meaning completely, grammatically, but Prabhupada has given us the Sara, the Bhavartha of this. When will I be able to understand Vrindavana and the conjugal law of Radha and Krishna? When is that possible? When the mind is completely purified, freed from material anxieties. And he continues, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Habe Akuti Kabe Hama Bujabo Se Yugala Piriti. How is that possible? Prabhupada again gives the bhavartha of this. He says, when shall I be very much eager to study the books left by Sri Six Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami? By their instruction, I shall be able to properly understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. So if at all we have to control our mind, there are two qualifications which is needed. One is that there must be anartha nivritti and there should be artha pravritti. Both are important. We know anartha nivritti. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya should go. But there should also be positive attachment towards Krishna. That is artha pravritti. So there was a mundane example which one speaker gave. I'll try to reproduce that. So if there are two people and they are in love with each other before marriage, and somehow by the stroke of luck, they get married to somebody else. The new married relationship, how will it be strong? Two things should happen. One should completely forget the previous paramour. They should forget, the male and the female, should forget the previous paramour. And they should also positively nourish the roots of the current relationship. If they don't forget the previous paramour, the attachment is not going to come. In our case, this material world is our previous paramour. We are so attached to that, so attached. We are not able to forget the attachment and the rasa which we got from this particular material world. And if we are not able to attach ourselves to our new husband, which is Krishna, then also it's not going to work for us. The smarana is possible only when we have the stage of anartha nivritti and artha pravritti. Anartha nivritti happens, and then when we reach the stage of nishtha, only at the stage of nishtha can there be a proper smarana. What kind of smarana we are speaking about? Raghanuga smarana, continuous, unbroken remembrance of the Lord. Are we able to do that? Is a question which we as sadhakas should ask ourselves. Are we able to remember the Lord all the time? Are we able to engage our senses in the service of the Lord all the time? Or are there times where we are taking break from Krishna? Or are we doing bhakti in the break from Maya? These are all different stages. So we might take a break from Maya and do bhakti, or we might take a break from Krishna and do Maya. Different proportions. If are we putting a chok, you know what is chok? Tadka, the last seasoning. Are we putting a seasoning of Maya in our bhakti life? Or are we putting a seasoning of Krishna in our Maya life? ISKCON people, we are very famous in dovetailing our energies in Krishna. We've been taught this. And we use this very nicely. What are you doing? I'm dovetailing. You keep on dovetailing. When will you really use? Dovetailing is a propensity you have. You dovetail it for a while till you actually practice pure bhakti. But the bhakti, the practicing of dovetailing, the bridge is so long that we don't want to cross the bridge from material world to the spiritual world. We want to stay here, keep on dovetailing, keep on adding the seasoning of Krishna in our life and feel happy that I have a shika and a kantimala and a dhoti and I am a devotee. This is the stage of practicing devotees, at least me. So, if at all we are not able to practice pure bhakti and we are not able to go to the stage of nishtha, we are going to lose this battle because the time doesn't stop. Udyan asthan sayana so. Every day when the sun is going up and going down, what is happening? One day is going away from our share. The limited number of breaths we have, if we are not using those breaths in our attempt to purify ourselves, our senses, and completely surrender to Krishna, reach the stage of smarana one day, in this life, if we are not reaching smarana, it's very difficult. So what is stopping us from going to Nishtha? There are 5 aspects which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in some big book called Madhurya Kadambini. I have not studied that, but I can just tell you the 5 obstacles of Nishtha, which I heard in one of the lectures. So don't ask me anything about Madhurya Kadambini, because this is just there in that book. I have not even touched that book. So there are 5 obstacles which is stopping us from going to Nishtha. One is laya, sleep. Laya means whenever we feel asleep or tired while doing bhakti activities, while we're chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, or activities which we are doing where we are sleepy and lazy. This is a stage, this is an activity where we have to realize and and realize that we are not at the stage of Nishtha yet. Of course, there could be proper tiredness. Somebody might have taken a 24-hour train and come. That might have put them to sleep, that is a separate thing altogether. But if regularly if we feel sleepy, then we have to, this one obstacle which is stopping us from going to Nishtha. So we have to again revise our activities, reconfirm to Krishna that yes, we are committed. Second, vikshepa, distraction. If there are days when we are feeling distracted from our sadhana, today I will not go for Bhagavatam class, I will not listen to Bhagavatam today. Today I will just see something else. If there are some days like that, then we should realize that yes, so we are still yet there to get the Nishtha. So this is stopping us. This distraction is a symptom and also a reason for us to stop, it is stopping us from going towards Nishtha. So anartha nivritti is still happening and it is in the primary stages. Then there is apratipatti, indifference or disinterest in spiritual topics. Sometimes when we are discussing, when we are just conversing with devotees and somebody starts a devotional topic or a philosophical topic, people say, "Arey, philosophy mat jhado yaar. Don't give me philosophy right now." We are speaking lightly, no? Disinterest in the topics of spirituality at any point in time is a symptom of saying that Nishtha is still far. So this is the third one, which is apratipatti. Then there is kashaya, that is tendency towards bad habits. It could be subtle, like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. If we see all these things in us still, then it says that it is still, we're not in the stage of Nishtha. So we should not be very proud that we already reached Nishtha. This is still there. And this rasaswada, the taste for material enjoyment. I was traveling, I was in the Middle East recently, and that particular place is the center of all the activities for rasaswada. You want any kind of senses to be gratified, that place has got the best of it. Like how we say, Bhagavan has got all the 6 attributes in full. Middle East and places like that has got all the material activities in full. In whatever level you want, you can engage yourself. In that kind of place, if people have taken up to bhakti, then really hats off. So rasaswada is the fifth obstacle which we see in the line of Nishtha. So these the primary purpose of this particular verse where Prabhupada is saying is that the senses are the reason for our distraction and mind is one of the strongest senses for us to distract. If we are able to control the mind, like there is this comparison which acharyas give, that Arjuna being the soul is on the chariot of the 5 senses and the reins is the mind and Krishna is holding it. If we hand over the reins, that is our mind, to Krishna, then all the other senses, all the other 5 horses will get controlled by Krishna. But if we try to control them on our own, then the 5 horses will run in 5 different directions. And then we will never know which sense is actually taking us away. Like how people say, even a desire for a small Mahaprasad Rasgulla will get us back to this material world. I want to eat a Rasgulla. This will get us back to this material world. So as practicing devotees, we must, like how Narottam Das Thakur is saying, we must practice through the scriptural vision. Study the scriptures of Rupa Goswami, Raghunatha Das Goswami, especially topics like Manashiksha. I had prepared a little, but time is running away. So Manasiksha is a larger topic. We can go through the verses of Manasiksha and understand how to train our mind. You know, Raghunath Das Goswami starts by saying, abandon pride. If you want to control your mind, or you're telling the mind, please abandon pride. If at all you want to go back to the Godhead and have attachment to Krishna and Radha, please abandon pride. But what do? We take pride in everything. We take pride in everything, or at least the contaminated mind gets distracted by pride. Contaminated mind gets distracted by pride that I am actually doing good sadhana. This can also be a pride. If some people start coming for Mangalarti regularly, they see other people very like, "Hey, you are not coming for Mangalarti." So, that can bring pride in us. We have to be careful of this pride. So, give up the pride of anything, more so in bhakti. So, Manasiksha, it starts with that. Of course, there are different levels of which Manasiksha goes to. But I want to just wrap up this particular discussion by reminding all of us that the sense control, which Prabhupada is speaking about, is the 4 levels of sense control which we should all remember. This is one of my favorite understanding from the scriptural readings. So I would like to share this. There are 4 stages of sense control. I have shared this before, but even then I would like to repeat it for myself. There are 4 stages of sense control for everybody. Okay, this is Vedanta Deshikar has explained it in his purport to the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā. The first stage of sense control is called yatamana. Yatamana is where the sadhaka who sees a sense object, identifies this is a sense object. After identification, there is a little happiness of seeing that sense object. That sense object could be anything. It could be from starting from a Rasgulla to a YouTube to the opposite sex, anything it could be. And all of us will be in different stages of sense control for different sense objects. We have to introspect. The first stage is yatamana. Yatamana is where the sadhaka is looking at the sense object, he identifies this as a sense object, he feels happiness, and there is an impulsive urge to enjoy that sense object. But he turns away his vision and doesn't indulge in the sense gratification. This is the first stage, which is called yatamana. We should note that if we are not turning away our eyes, we are not even at the primary stage of being a sadhaka. This is the first stage, yatamana. Second stage is called, second stage of sense control is called vyatireka, where the sadhaka is looking at the sense object and he identifies that it is a sense object, but there is no impulsive urge to enjoy. There is no impulsive urge to enjoy, but there is still happiness upon seeing that sense object. There is happiness, and he knows that it is a sense object. This stage where we are trying to differentiate what to do and what not to do is called vyatireka. Vyatireka. The third stage of self-control or sense control is when the sadhaka sees the sense object, identifies it as a sense object, but there is no happiness on seeing it, and hence there is no urge to enjoy it, and hence there is no engagement. This is called ekendriya. The mind is almost under control. The senses are under control, the mind is almost under control. The final stage of sense control is called vashikara. Vashikara is when the sadhaka looks at the sense object, doesn't even identify that it's a sense object. Doesn't even identify. Hence, there is no happiness, there is no impulsive attachment, and hence no sense agitation. This is called vashikara. So people who have had bad habits in the past, like for example, tea, coffee. I'm just taking a lighter example, not making it gross. Tea, coffee. People who have left tea, coffee from the mind completely. If they look at tea, they don't get attracted. They don't even see that they have to be touched, be drunk. Right? So there is at the stage of vashikara. Okay? So, but there are other aspects like pride, deceit, hypocrisy, political power. These kind of things, if there is attraction, Raghunath Das Goswami says in his Manasiksha again, don't get attracted to power, don't get attracted to hypocrisy, don't get attracted to these things. This is like bathing in the urine of a donkey, trickling urine of a donkey. Don't do this. He goes ahead and says, don't even get attached to Vaikuntha. That's at a very different level. But as sadhakas, we have to see at different sense object, how are we in control? introspect. Introspect, continuous introspection. One day is done, the next day is a new battle. With the conch shell which is blown in the Mangalarati, that's the clarion call for the war. As a sadhaka, we have a war with Maya that day. Just because we won the battle yesterday does not mean that we are going to win today. It is another fight. It is another fight. We have to fight every day. It's like those people in the sales work. They finish their quarter results or whatever they have to achieve, the targets. The next quarter they start with 0. Anybody in sales, in any kind of target-based work, they start with 0 every month, every quarter, every year. Just because I was a star performer yesterday does not mean that I'll be a star performer today. I still have to fight. I still have to go through the battle. I have to still have those senses. Until those senses, the fangs of that particular snake has been removed completely and has become poisonless, or it has become useless, it is still a danger for me. Still a danger for me. Prabhupada says that even at the most ripe age, don't trust your senses. They can deceive you any time. Anytime. Okay, we have heard cases of so many people at high posts in the material world, also in our own circles, in high posts and good reputation, falling onto the urge of the senses. So let's introspect, continuously be aware of what the senses can do, have the sense control as a daily agenda, and keep introspecting and keep evaluating ourselves. What stage am I in? What am I doing? Am I applying my mind and my senses to the service of Krishna, like how Krishna wants me? Or am I applying it like a tadka, just as a seasoning, and doing whatever I want? So this misidentification, what my mind wants, we identify that as what I want. That itself is the misidentification, which this Maitreya Muni is clearly telling, that this misidentification is the root cause for the misery of the jiva. This misidentification we have to consciously stop. Okay, we stop here. If any comments by anybody. Yes, Prabhuji, you have some questions here, comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. It's like, can you please explain with an example, like what is the difference between like feeling happy while seeing a sense object and like getting the impulse to enjoy? How are these two different?
The impulsive attraction to enjoy is that you can't control. It's like, I want it. Let's say, for example, you're diabetic. Let's say somebody else is diabetic. And if that diabetic person sees a sweet, and if he has got impulsive urge, I have to have it. Till the time you get that impulsive urge, you will not understand what impulsive urge is. Okay? If you have not got impulsive urge, good for you. But impulsive urge means that which cannot be controlled. But even then the sadhaka, because that sadhana has to be done, he turns away his eye. That is impulsive urge. But looking at a sense object and being happy means, you find, for example, continuing the same example, you see the rasgulla, he says, rasgulla, I'll have it someday. Offer it and eat it. That happiness is still there looking at that. Looking at the sense object, that happiness is there, that, oh, this, I remember, enjoyed it was so nice, soft, juicy. This happiness comes in the mind. That is the difference between impulsive urge and just being happy about it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the engaging class. Very nice. So I had a question regarding smaranam.
Yeah.
And so, in the Shastra, speaking of like remembering Krishna, the form of Krishna, like in the Shastra it says to meditate on the Narayan form is non-different from, Krishna's, gopi form.
Yeah.
Similarly, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. And so I'm wondering, because you're saying, also what you're saying is that, or not you, but the Shastra is saying, in order to maintain this with lack of artificiality, we would have to reach the nishta platform.
Yes.
But what I am curious about is if we, practice this type of meditation, is it okay? Is it
Absolutely
good? Bona fide? No.
Absolutely bona fide. See, all the 9 methods which is there, Shravana Kirtana, can you hear? Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana, they are all bona fide, obviously recommended methods. What I meant to say, probably was not clear, is that Ragatmika Bhakti and Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, they are defined like this. Ragatmika Bhakti it's also called as Smaranatmaka Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti is called as Shravana Kirtana Archanatmaka Bhakti. Okay? So we practice Vaidhi Sadhana to go one day towards Ragatmika Bhakti. Our stated intention of this Krishna consciousness is Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem is the final stage of Ragatmika Bhakti. So we have a very lofty goal. For that lofty goal, we start with Shravana and Kirtana. This is the method. And Smarana is also there. But unbroken Smarana happens only in Nishtha. Unbroken Smarana happens only in Nishtha. We have to target that. Like how we are actually targeting Krishna Prem. Can you believe that? So can you believe that we are all targeting, every day we say, you have to avoid these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prem. We say that. So our goal is there. But we are starting with Vaidhi only. But we have to remember this. The knowledge should be there. Whether we get there in this life or whether it is a next life activity which we have planned for this life, it's okay. Ultimately, we are there on the path. We should not insist, Krishna, that this life only I want. Of course, we should try. Prabhupada says that we should do an activity in such a way that Krishna himself sees us. Right? We should see that Jagannath is looking at us. We are not looking at him. This is the problem. The problem is not that Jagannath is not looking at us. Jagannath with a wide eye is looking at us. If we look at him, then the entire world of Jagannath will be open for us. We are seeing the world like how we see. But if we open the eyes and see Jagannath, then we see Kadachit Kalindi on the banks of river Yamuna. These people are all, Brahma, Shiva, everybody is doing puja. And there is Gopi, the Krishna is playing the flute. He is having the peacock feather. All those things will be revealed if we look at Jagannath. That is the problem. We are not looking at Jagannath. So this entire activity of pulling him towards Vrindavan, taking him from this place, keeping back to him in his place again, all these activities which the devotees are trying to do is to create smarana, complete remembrance of the Lord all the time. Yeah? So these activities are for that.
Thank you so much for dispelling my doubt, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very well explained about Smaran. The dhyana, Krishna explained Bhagavad-gītā process dhyana. And just a comment. Sorry about that. I'm a comment, okay? Not answer question. The Krishna Lila Smaran can be very easily by mercy of Nityananda. Very easily. If you pray for Nityananda to do this for you, then you go in Krishna pastimes. This is beginning with Devaki, Vasudeva, and then go to Yashodanandana, and Gopakumara, then later you can go to Krishna Prema and Krishna Lila. But for the beginners, I recommend the bottom of my heart to pray for Nityananda, because he can give you everything and can give you very easily this Krishna Lila Smaran. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.